Netflix takes on Texas. Attorneys analyze the outlandish fight over Cuties. Yes, today we're going to talk about Cuties, the movie, again. Hello and welcome back to my channel. Please remember to like, comment, share, subscribe. Make sure that you're still subscribed. Follow me over on Twitter. Sometimes I tweet interesting things. And thanks for following me at all, actually. Thank you for supporting all my work. So this shouldn't be a very long video. And FYI, Netflix turned off the comment sections on my videos. Somebody probably commented something they weren't supposed to, something that YouTube didn't like. So I have to figure out how to turn that back on, and hopefully they'll let me. They did this before. I just had to go into the settings somewhere and turn them on. So it's not me telling you you can't share in the comments. I appreciate all your thoughts and opinions, but YouTube doesn't like free thought, apparently. I don't know. So Netflix is asking the Texas federal judge to get Spider off its back. The streamer says Tyler County District Attorney Lucas Babin, a former actor best known for his role as Spider in School of Rock, is abusing his power and the court needs to intervene. So let's take a look at Spider here. Yeah, so that's him. The fight stems from the Netflix 2020 release of the French film Cuties, a coming-of-age story about an 11-year-old Senegalese immigrant who joins a dance troupe. The movie, intended to criticize the hypersexualization of young girls, garnered widespread acclaim at Sundance, but became controversial for showing sexualized dance moves. The controversy culminated in Babin charging Netflix for promoting child erotica, content that depicts children in a lewd manner not to be mistaken for child pornography. All right, well, I saw the movie Cuties. It was boring and annoying. It was really stupid. Don't watch it. It's not worth watching. I have a feeling that the controversy over this did bring new customers to Netflix so they could see this film. Now, as I recall, you can get like a month-long free trial of Netflix, but I'm sure some of those month-long free trials of Netflix turned into permanent or long-term memberships. The movie is not terrible by any means as far as showing children in an inappropriate manner. I was 13 once. I very much remember what it was like to be 13. I very much remember one of my friends, female relatives, wanting me to have sex with her. She was also 13. I remember my girlfriend at the time wanting me to have sex with her. 13-year-olds know what sex is. And the little dance thing they do at the end of the film is really not that big of a deal. It's really not. It's kind of pretty tame, actually. That's just my experience of it. I don't know. Maybe it's because I've seen how children can be. I remember very well being 13 and knowing that kids wanted to have sex. Yeah, what are you going to do? I've seen much, much worse things out there. I know there's much, much worse things that happen to 13-year-olds in the real world. So this movie didn't really blip on my radar. It was such a stupid movie, and it didn't really make any sense. I mean, I checked out of it basically halfway through. I couldn't really focus on it that well. But anyway, moving back to the article. What has happened in the year and a half that followed led to Netflix taking the rare step of seeking a federal court's intervention to stop the prosecution. The streamer argues Babin is knowingly pursuing a losing case to harass it. It's insane prosecutorial overreach, says Duncan Levin, a former federal and state prosecutor. He's misusing the power of his office to chill free speech. That could very well be. Netflix in October of 2020 was originally charged for allegedly violating a state law that criminalizes the possession or promotion of visual materials that depicts the lewd exhibition of children, which the Texas legislation dubbed child erotica. The state enacted a statute in 2017 to cover content that falls outside the scope of its child pornography laws. The indictment, however, became no longer viable after the Texas Appeals Court in October 2021 found the statute unconstitutional under the First Amendment in an unrelated case. Okay, so we're allowed to show children in lewd situations now? If this is meant to draw attention to this sort of behavior in children, there's different ways of doing it. A lot of different ways you could do it. This didn't, in my opinion, that's not what this movie is about. This movie is about dancing and these girls wanting to be dancers and these girls acting like stupid. The main thing that I took away from the movie is that white people are stupid and slovenly because the white girl in the dance troupe was the stupidest one and she was the most overweight one. And that we should all be rah-rah cheering for these non-white people because they're better than white people. I'm sorry, that's just what I took away from the movie. And if you took away from it, hey, look, this is inappropriate dance for children to be conducting, well, okay, that's what you took away from it. I thought it was just dance. They're just dancing around, shaking their little booties. Who cares? Whatever. Kids do that all the time. I live by a junior high school. I see the lewdness that these these kids engage in without having a director telling them to do it. So it's like, what can you do? I mean, these kids are so inappropriate, and they're of course extremely rude. Kids don't know any better. But the Texas First District Court of Appeals concluded that the law is too broad. A teenager who takes a lewd photo of themselves, for example, could hypothetically be found in violation of the statute. So could anyone who even watches Cuties. The court pointed to Babin's indictment against Netflix as one of the bases for its holding. As currently written, the statute could apply not only to Netflix, but to those persons who viewed the offending visual material, reads the court's order. Great. So here I am indicting myself. I don't think you can indict yourself, but whatever. It's just... So I watched the movie. I just watched it out of curiosity to see what the big hubbub was about, and I didn't think it was such a big deal. After Babin refused to voluntarily dismiss the indictment, Netflix in November 2021 pursued a constitutional challenge to the child erotica statute through habeas relief, a filing in criminal cases that challenges the lawfulness of certain charges. Netflix emphasized in its petition that Babin never had probable cause to seek the indictment in the first place and had no hope of prevailing in the case, even setting aside the statute's First Amendment issues. Okay. The argument lies in the obscenity standard created by the U.S. Supreme Court in Miller versus California, as well as the statute itself. The High Court found in that case that the First Amendment safeguards obscene material as long as it has serious literary, artistic, political, or scientific value. Okay, then. That's a BS because, hey, look, strip clubs have none of those things. And strip clubs are obscene. And we see this all the time in a lot of movies. I guess serious is a vague term. What is serious artistic value? What does that mean? Define that for me. Because pornography is not artistic. There's nothing artistic about two people slamming their bodies together. Whatever. Amy Sanders, an attorney and media law professor, says it's absurd to question the artistic value of Cuties when it's been lauded for its timely exploration of how children are impacted by a highly sexualized and media-driven culture. No, it doesn't. It doesn't do any of that. She says the idea that there is no First Amendment protection for this kind of theatrical depiction of a major social issue is ridiculous. Well, there is protection of it, but you're not allowed to put children in those situations, is I think the argument that they're making here. You're not allowed to have children performing these lewd acts. You know, I guess it was a big controversy. If you ever have seen the movie Taxi Driver, it was, I think, made in the 70s, 76. It has Jodie Foster in it. She plays a prostitute, a 12-year-old prostitute. She's a 12-year-old girl in real life in the movie. She's also 12 years old. So these notions of children misbehaving, of children engaging in these activities is nothing new. The book Lolita, very, very well-known book about a 13-year-old girl who engages in an affair with her stepfather. I mean, what can you do? These things exist in the real world. I mean, obviously, things like Lolita, its literary value is astounding. It's been touted as a great work of fiction for generations now. The thing with Taxi Driver, it's a great movie. Watch it. It's a really interesting movie. But people were up in arms, apparently, because Jodie Foster was 12 when that happened. So this stuff has been around forever. These girls do a little slightly inappropriate dance, and we're supposed to be like, oh, how dare they? It's just horrifying. Okay, it's a movie. Well, you can't have children doing that. That's wrong. It's wrong. They're dancing. Get over it. Dance historically is provocative. That's what it's about. It's about being able to move your hips to show that you have the ability to do the nasty. So they're starting a little bit young with it. It's a movie. I don't get the big deal. Maybe I'm wrong. Tell me in the comments. Hey, if I'm wrong about this, let me know. Let me know your opinions. I mean, I'll try to get the comments turned back on. We'll see if that happens. Netflix requested hearing dates in the state criminal case in November 2021 only for Babin to insist on a date in March 2022. The district attorney's state reason for pushing back the hearing was based on his reading of a Texas statute that requires 45 days notice to the Texas Attorney General before a court may enter a final judgment invalidating a state law on constitutional grounds. That would have pushed it to early 2022, but there were scheduling conflicts between the parties in January and February. While the statute specifies a timeline for a decision, it does not explicitly preclude the court from hearing a habeas petition within 45 days. So the reason I read this paragraph for you is because this just goes to show that we're focusing on the wrong thing in the world. We have a border crisis in Texas. Maybe we deal with that instead of focusing on a movie. A stupid, terrible movie. God, that movie was so bad. It was so stupid. At one point, the girls interact with a used condom that they find, and they didn't know what it was. I had that education when I was 11. Well, I wasn't actually 11 because I was a little bit older than everybody. In case you haven't figured out, I don't read well, and that was much worse when I was a child, so I had to spend some extra time doing more work than the other kids that put me back. But most of the kids in my class were 11. Almost all of them were 11 when we had all that information dumped in our laps. Now, I'm not French. I've never lived in France. I don't know how they do things there, so maybe they do things differently over there, but it seems to me like they would start younger in France. I mean, France is known for being like sexually open, right? So maybe that's why this is a French film, because hey, they're more open there, and you wouldn't see this stuff in America these days. And I'm like, okay, I know we don't want to have children doing that sort of thing. What do I know? Maybe it's out there for all the pervs to just latch onto it and obsess over it. Maybe that's what people are imagining is happening, is that all the really sick people are just watching this movie repeatedly. They have that dance sequence on loop all the time playing in the background. I don't know. Well, anyway, this is just a stupid movie that should not be watched by anyone just because it's a stupid movie. And the kids dance in it. Get over yourselves. I mean, if you want to sue Netflix, go right ahead. Be my guest. I don't care. But don't be surprised if you lose this one. Anyway, that's all I got for this time. Again, thank you for stopping by. I do appreciate you supporting my work. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. It only takes a second to do all those things. And I will see you in the next one.